Hey everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Title Scoop. So the past few weeks we've been talking about common names, and that included if we have a foreign seller and potential foreign names. So after those videos I got a few questions on FIRPTA and then also what to do if we have a foreign seller and we need to get a 1099 from them. So we're just going to briefly go over FIRPTA. We have done it in the past, so I'll link that video as well. And then I think I'll have a link in there also for some of the FAQs on FIRPTA because that's really helpful from the IRS website. So to get started, FIRPTA means Foreign Investment and Real Property Tax Act of 1980. And what it means is that if a person is a foreign seller and they're selling their property, there's got to be an income tax withholding unless, of course, there's some type of exception. Now, just so you guys know, the IRS does state that it's the buyer's obligation to essentially determine this, but as we know, the buyer's probably not going to know how to do that. So we are the middleman who helps get that accomplished with various documents, affidavits, forms that are signed in order to get that information. Now the terminology is a little different. Disposition is the sale or exchange, buyer is the transferee, seller is the transferor. Just if you see those on the documents, you'll know what they mean. As I mentioned, I'm going to link the FAQs from the IRS regarding FIRPTA because they're really helpful and they do kind of tell you exactly what you need to do if you have different scenarios. Now, the question we're really trying to answer with FIRPTA is our seller foreign? That's what we need to know. If a seller is foreign, we're going to have to do a withholding. I usually suggest if we do anticipate or we know that the seller is foreign, we usually say we ask them to get with their CPA or their tax attorney so that they can give us what we need to do. It is set, but it's just a best practice in my opinion to have their tax accountant or their attorney helping in giving the right information. Now, we do have exceptions obviously for FIRPTA. The one that we see the most is that the buyer is acquiring that property as their residence and that the sales price is no more than $300,000. So that's the one I would say I've seen the most, but there are other ones where obviously we don't have to withhold. If you aren't foreign at all, we obviously don't need to withhold. There's also a withholding certificate that they can get from the IRS that'll say that it excuses them from the withholding. And then also the other one that we sometimes see is that the seller realizes $0 on their transfer, so they don't need to withhold anything because there's no percentage of zero. Now, what I will say is the certification for individuals and one for entities are different. And again, you just need to have them fill that out. If in fact they are not sure, again, I always encourage them to talk to their tax attorney or their CPA because we are not going to give them tax advice. So if you're ever not sure, again, reach out, but we're probably going to give you the advice to have them talk to their attorney, their tax attorney or their accountant. Now, some red flags with FIRPTA, if a person doesn't have a social security number, if they don't have a taxpayer ID number, maybe they don't have a driver's license, maybe their passport's foreign. There's a few things obviously where you're kind of going, hey, what's going on? And that's usually when we just say, hey, we may need more information, and we at least alert so that, hey, you may need to talk to your accountant. Again, I know I've said that a lot, but again, I am very, very clear that I do not give tax advice because I don't want anyone to think that I know what I'm doing when it comes to taxes. So if you do have a foreign seller and they are selling and you need to get a 1099, right? We report sales and we use our 1099s for that. Someone who's a foreign seller, if they don't have a U.S. tax identification number, they actually should not be signing a 1099 because it states they're certifying that they are a U.S. person or U.S. resident alien. So I have seen where people cross it out, but that's sort of defeats the purpose of what this document is because they are actually certifying it. But there are other ways to get their tax identification number. There's a form W-AB, and again, if you get this and you're not sure, give us a call. We may be able to guide you, or we may say, again, have them call their accountant. But there are ways for us to get their tax identification number. The other thing, sometimes people are applying for it, so it's in the process. These sales are going to be reported either way, so we usually say make sure that they know it's going to be reported either way. But if they get it, then you can go through the same process as you would had you had it at closing. Again, these are, when you get them, ask the questions, call your underwriter, and let us know, and we will hopefully be able to guide you through it. All right, we're going to call it a week. If you guys have questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.